Part 1, The Hallway Horror. It was Zoe's third week at Eastbrook High, and she had mastered the art of invisibility, head down, hoodie up, books clutched tightly. She wasn't shy by nature, but after transferring schools for the fourth time due to her dad's military job, she'd grown tired of making friends only to say goodbye again. But invisibility didn't protect her that Monday morning. As she walked down the senior hallway, a shortcut she wasn't supposed to take, laughter echoed from behind. "Hey, thrift store," one of them sneered. It was Lexi, the queen bee, flanked by her loyal drones, Sierra and Tasha. All three wore matching cheer uniforms and glimmering lip gloss like armor. Zoe tried to ignore them, but the tap-tap of their heels quickened behind her. Lexi grabbed a fistful of Zoe's floral dress, sneering, "Who still wears stuff like this?" Before Zoe could twist away, there was a loud re-yip. The fabric tore across the back, exposing her shoulder and most of her upper back. The hallway erupted in gasps and laughter. A jock nearby whistled mockingly. Someone pulled out a phone. Frozen in place, Zoe's breath hitched, but it wasn't fear that gripped her. It was rage. She dropped her books, slowly turned around, and met Lexi's eyes. "Big mistake," Zoe muttered. Lexi blinked. "What did you say?" Zoe's foot moved before her brain even caught up. A swift sidestep, pivot, then crack. Her elbow met Sierra's ribs with surgical precision. Sierra dropped to the ground, gasping. Tasha lunged at her in a panic, but Zoe blocked her swing with one arm and delivered a lightning-fast heel kick to her stomach. Tasha stumbled back, knocking into a locker and sliding to the floor. Only Lexi was left, now pale and stammering. "Who even are you?" Zoe stepped forward, someone who's had enough. With calm precision, she grabbed Lexi's wrist mid-slap, twisted it behind her back and pushed her gently, but firmly, against the lockers. Students weren't laughing anymore, phones were recording. Mr. Hartley, the school nurse who doubled as security, came sprinting. "What in the world?" He stopped cold at the scene, two girls wheezing on the floor and Zoe holding the ringleader in a lock. "She ripped my dress," Zoe said simply, "and they wanted a show, so I gave them one." Part 2, Behind the office door. 10 minutes later, Zoe sat silently in the principal's office, her torn dress now covered by a gym hoodie. Across the room, Lexi sat with an ice pack pressed to her jaw. Sierra and Tasha had already been wheeled off to the nurse's office, one with bruised ribs, the other with a twisted ankle and likely a concussion. Principal Morris looked between them, stunned. "This is highly unusual." "She's violent," Lexi barked, trying to hold on to her queen bee venom. "She should be expelled." "Actually," Nurse Hartley interrupted, flipping through a file, "Zoe has a certified black belt. Her father's a combat instructor. These were controlled defense moves, non-lethal, non-escalatory. Impressive form, honestly." Lexi's jaw dropped. "She's a ninja." "She's a student," Mr. Morris said slowly. "A student who, according to several witnesses, was physically assaulted and publicly humiliated." "She attacked us," Lexi insisted. Zoe stood up. "You ripped my clothes off in public. That's assault and humiliation. I just made sure it didn't happen again." Her voice was calm, measured. The door burst open. Mrs. Whittaker, the superintendent, stood fuming. "I just saw the videos. They're trending. Millions of views." Lexi's face paled. "V-videos?" "Oh yes," the superintendent said, raising an eyebrow. "Under the hashtag #KarateJusticeGirl." Zoe closed her eyes and sighed. Mrs. Whittaker turned to Principal Morris. "I suggest we have a school-wide assembly on bullying, and maybe ask Miss Zoe here to speak, preferably before we get contacted by a major news channel." Zoe's eyes widened. "Wait, what?" Lexi finally looked broken. This can't be happening." "Actions have consequences," the principal said. "You'll be suspended for bullying. And you," he looked at Zoe, "while I can't condone violence, I do understand self-defense. We'll work something out." As Zoe walked out of the office into a now silent hallway, whispers followed her, but not in mockery. "Respect, or—" A girl in glasses high-fived her. A football player nodded silently. For the first time in weeks, Zoe didn't need a hoodie to disappear. She walked tall, head-high past the lockers, knowing something had changed, maybe not just for her. Part 3, The assembly that changed everything. The day of the assembly came faster than Zoe expected. Flyers had gone up around the school. "Stand up, speak out," special talk by Zoe Matthews. She hated the attention, but Principal Morris and the superintendent insisted. "It's not about glorifying what happened," they told her. It's about showing others that courage comes in many forms. Zoe stood behind the stage curtain in the auditorium, heart thumping like a bass drum. She peeked out. Every seat was filled. Students from every grade, even some parents, teachers, and a few local reporters had shown up. And front row center, Lexi, Sierra, and Tasha, all with sour faces and arms crossed. None of them had spoken a word to Zoe since returning from suspension. A deep breath, then another. Mrs. Whittaker took the stage first. Today we address a topic that has plagued too many schools, bullying. But instead of statistics or lectures, we wanted a voice, a real story, someone who turned the tables not with revenge but with resilience. Please welcome Zoe Matthews. Applause rippled across the auditorium. Zoe stepped out, trying not to let her knees shake. The spotlight blinded her for a second, but she found the microphone and faced the crowd. "Hi," she began awkwardly. "I'm Zoe, and 3 weeks ago, I was the girl in the ripped dress." A hush fell over the room. "I didn't plan to fight. I didn't come here looking for trouble. But I got tired of people thinking being new or quiet means weak. Tired of pretending I didn't hear the whispers, see the stares, feel the laughter after I passed by. That day in the hallway when they tore my dress, I didn't think, I reacted." Murmurs stirred among the crowd. "I didn't react to get famous, or cool, or viral. I reacted because I've seen too many people suffer in silence. At other schools it wasn't me. Sometimes it was another girl with a stutter or a boy who loved art instead of football. And no one stood up for them. I didn't stand up for them either. I thought, if I stay small, maybe I'll stay safe. But small doesn't mean safe, it just means invisible." A few heads nodded. A teacher in the back wiped her eye. "I want to be really clear. I'm not saying you should solve every problem with a karate chop." A ripple of laughter broke the tension. Even Zoe smiled. "But I am saying you don't have to stay silent. You don't have to let people break you down. Find your voice, find your power, even if it shakes." She paused, scanning the audience. Her eyes landed on a girl in the third row, braces, hoodie pulled halfway over her head, staring with wide eyes, just like Zoe had been not long ago. "You don't have to fight with fists," Zoe added. "Sometimes just speaking out is the bravest move of all." Applause erupted, real, honest applause, the kind that vibrated in her chest. As she stepped back, Mrs. Whittaker hugged her briefly before taking the mic again. "That, my friends, is what leadership looks like. Not fear, not cruelty, but strength with purpose." After the assembly, students surrounded Zoe in the hallway. Some offered hugs, others fist bumps. A few shared their own stories, of bullying, exclusion, of moments they wished they'd fought back. Even Mr. Hartley came by, patting her shoulder. "That was braver than any black belt move you've done." But the most unexpected moment came later that afternoon. Zoe was alone in the library, curled up in her usual corner with a fantasy novel when she heard footsteps. She looked up and froze. Lexi stood there, nervously fidgeting with the strap of her designer bag. Zoe sat straighter but said nothing. "I saw the assembly," Lexi said finally. You spoke well." Zoe tilted her head. "Thanks." Lexi looked uncomfortable. "I didn't come to fight or yell, she sighed. "I guess I didn't think what we did was that bad, just dumb girl drama." "Ripping someone's clothes off in public is drama," Zoe said evenly. "I know," Lexi replied, eyes lowering. "I do now." There was a pause. "I've always been the one on top," Lexi continued. "Cheer captain, teacher's favorite, everyone laughing at my jokes, but it wasn't real. The moment I wasn't in control, I panicked. I took it out on you." Zoe blinked. Was this an apology? Lexi finally looked her in the eyes. "I was wrong, and I'm sorry." Zoe studied her. "I don't know if I forgive you yet." "I'm not asking you to," Lexi said softly. "Just letting you know I'm trying to be better, and maybe learn how to stand for something too." She turned and walked away. For a long time, Zoe just sat there, stunned. Not because of Lexi's apology, but because, for the first time in her life, she wasn't afraid of what came next. The next week, Principal Morris announced the creation of a new anti-bullying program called the Courage Initiative, co-led by Zoe and a few volunteer teachers. They hosted small support groups, offered training in assertiveness and self-defense, and set up a hotline for anonymous reports. To everyone's surprise, Lexi showed up to one of the meetings, not as a speaker, but as a quiet listener. Bit by bit, change trickled through Eastbrook High. Students stood up for one another, teachers paid closer attention, and Zoe, once invisible, had become a symbol of courage, not because